Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to another MTG Arena stream. Today is Wednesday, December 11th. We still don't really have a reason to do the Wednesday Brawl. It just doesn't seem like it really does anything. It's just a commander game that perhaps at this point, well, maybe I have slightly more cards that it would make sense, but not a lot. There is this promo thing still where you can earn Throne of Eldraine promo packs in store. I'm not sure what that really would entail. In fact, I probably should just launch that and see what that really says. Oh no, it just launches the store locator. Yeah. So it doesn't really say what would be entailed in earning those packs, if that's something simple like just playing or purchasing something at the store, or if it's something hard like you've got to purchase several $100s at the store. We're at 41,000 gold, rank 88, and we need to attack with 30 creatures and play black or green, which I guess gives me a good opportunity to play green. Like, we could come out of here, I suppose, and traditional draft Throne of Eldraine. I don't understand what the difference between a ranked draft and a traditional draft would be. Doesn't seem like there would be any reason why you would want to play this, other than it gives you slightly more packs, 6 packs if you get 6 wins, and you use gems. Which gems have been few and far between. Let's just be honest there. Like, there's traditional stuff doesn't really make sense. You really shouldn't play it. And particularly right now when you can play ranked draft Throne of Eldraine to your heart's content and get up and ranked, this would be considerably fewer packs that you get for considerably fewer gems. Well, it's almost the exact same price actually, because if you were to play this 4 times, you would be spending 3,000 gems, and you would get 6 packs, and then potentially getting back more gems than what you spent. So if you're just great at Magic, which might entail, like, I still haven't really wrapped my head around how much of your success in Magic has to do with the packs that you have and the cards that you have. That there might just be some people that got very lucky and got some very good cards, and they're just able to win all the time to get more gems. But almost certainly not, because I think the vast majority of people who play Magic are spending a ridiculous amount of money on it, even if they're playing digitally only. There is... I'm not even going to look at this deck. I'm just going to jump in and play with it and then try something different here. Yeah, I watched more YouTube videos about Magic as I'm trying to learn about the community and what state it's in and such. And one of the videos I watched was a holiday gift guide, and yeah, at minimum you're gonna spend $30. The only thing that you could legitimately buy, according to this gift guide, would be booster packs for $4 each, and it would be kind of a pathetic gift to gift one booster pack that has like 16 cards in a booster pack. I don't know, like, you're really not going to have a lot there. So this Goldilocks card, unfortunately, really gets played this way more often than not. And then this card's just going to get played without its ability. happening. I think we were attempting some food tokens strategy, but we'll see. Let's see, whenever Flaxen Islander deals combat damage, the player, you may sacrifice it. When you do, destroy target artifact or enchantment. So decline that. So that destroys artifacts and enchantments. Which I may have this in my deck only specifically to get rid of because it has artifact and enchantments in it. Because I think that was the strategy I was attempting here, was to play one artifact out of an entire deck. And we'll have to see how well that works. Let's see. So, basic land in my hand, that's great. I have a ton on my plate at the moment as I'm attempting to program something using Arduino and I think MicroPython, but maybe not. That is part of the problem here, is that I am not a person who was taught Python at the same time I was taught other programming languages. I don't even know if Python was really that big when I was in school, so I was taught C++. It seems like Arduino is C, but if you want, and if you install the libraries right, you can program in MicroPython instead using the Arduino software. So the code does seem in some examples to go one way, and then in some examples go a different way. I'm having a difficult time wrapping my head around it and figuring out whether I should put semicolons at the end of declaring variables. And I guess in Python or MicroPython you don't really declare variables, and there's like constants, or constants are different, or just basic things like functions. Maybe functions don't exist at all. I never really embraced the object-oriented concept, which is totally the way to learn now. It wasn't the big thing there. So the idea of defining classes is something that's just not very familiar to me. This is good. What I'm saying right now is not going to make much sense to anybody who doesn't know anything about programming, so apologies for that. But yeah, the idea of declaring a class and is not specifically something that comes naturally, but it does make sense because part of what I'm trying to program is a battery monitor. It would make sense for for me to just make a battery class that automatically calculates the battery percentage and reads the battery value every time it's called, but it certainly is something I'm not familiar with. I had to give up in a way and actually ask just a general question about, is what I'm trying to do with the Bluetooth chip part even doable? They say it's doable, and pointed me in the right direction, so I now have to figure out if I can actually get that code to work, which is going to be the difficult part there. Alright, so I'm just going to attack with these and hope he blocks. But I don't know why he would. He sees the cards there. I should have attacked with just one, but he screwed up. Wasn't paying enough attention. It's kind of nice to have a character on the field that can just at any point destroy any artifact. But there's not enough instances of artifacts happening. Now, I'm not completely up a river as far as programming. I have loaded example scripts. I kind of know what I'm doing. I just don't. I'm just gonna have to wrap my brain around it. This is early days of dealing with a new programming language and a new compiler, effectively. Just a lot of things I think are throwing errors on that probably it shouldn't be throwing errors on. Installing libraries for the Arduino, in my instance, does seem like it's a bit of a hassle and a pain. The dropping from the switching, particularly from MicroPython to C or C++ maybe in some cases. Also, alright, so I'm gonna see. We've got 4 or 5. I'm gonna just do 5 and see if that works. So, and then he just counters that spell. Darn it. Well, what does this have a counter on for? Can't be blocked with creatures of 2 or less. Okay. The Retro Flag GPI Game Boy case,
odds of victory look good.
In which you put a Raspberry Pi Zero in it. I could not use my image that I had made for Raspberry Pi 3 because it's a completely different install, so I had to start over mostly from scratch. And I was having a bunch of green lines appear. It was a connection issue. It comes with these spring pins, and the spring pins push onto the holes where honestly it should be snap down, some kind of snaps or something to solder, just pins that went through the Raspberry Pi connectors and then soldering all of those pins, which would have been a nightmare certainly, but it would have been a much better connection than the spring pins. So it's literally only just pressure that's holding the connection together, and the connection was getting loose. I looked online, it seems like this happens a lot. Big problem is right in the middle. There needs to be a screw. If there's a screw on the left side, there's a screw on the right side, that's creating the tightest amount of pressure on each edge, allowing it to bow in the middle. However, my solution, and I was able to get it to work, is to simply take a piece of paper and fold it over 4 or 5 times and cut it down to size and stick it on the back and create a just 6 to 8 pieces of paper thick amount of pressure, and this might very well be in the tolerances of the case itself. There is a clip that goes down in the center that should be holding down the center pins. It's not, and by putting the paper in there, I made it probably a little bit too tight. So now the Game Boy case has a noticeable, the Game Boy cartridge part that has the Raspberry Pi in it has noticeable lean where it's pushing in one direction away from the Game Boy, but that is fine. I believe
that's what we got.
That even Game Boys themselves had a security bolt and screw right in the center, So they probably ran into the exact same problem of just having connectors stay in the same place. Other than that, it seems like it's working fine. The 3220 by 240 screen is going to need some adjustments. It won't be really a big problem playing an NES game or a Game Boy game for sure, but it is at the moment not a very good experience in Emulation Station, where the text is 1 pixel wide in a lot of places. Like one pixel is 1 pixel, and so it's not sharp. It needs new skins. It needs a new themes, is what they're called, to make everything bigger and just make everything work better. So there's a lot of fiddling with that. I was able to copy over some of my settings, and we'll see how much of that copied over, because it is kind of a quick and dirty experience. But that's kind of all I wanted to do with it too, is just get it running and not spend too much time making a specific build there. If anything, I was going to get the Banana Pi M2, which is a much faster processor, and put it inside, but I think I might wait now and see if they improve their cartridge version and sell the cartridges separately, because that would be the main thing. There's other problems, like the HDMI is not accessible at all, when it easily could have had a gap there at the top where you could plug in HDMI to the thing. Maybe that wouldn't work with the way it's getting video data. The second micro USB connection is missing completely, which sucks, because it might be nice to be able to plug in a USB keyboard or something. You effectively, when you're using the Retroflag Game Boy Pi case, which looks beautiful still, it totally feels and looks like a Game Boy if you were
the unknown.
to
That's real science.
just add a few buttons to the Game Boy. So it's a real nostalgia trip. But it does have some light bleed if you're playing in the middle of the night internally. So the backlight on the right side does just shine through the plastic. So it is... There are definitely some improvements that they could have made. Just thicker plastic to block the light, for instance, in certain spots. And a better cartridge design. Maybe the speaker could be a little bit louder. Speakers weren't great in Game Boys by default. And I don't know if... Like right now I have rechargeable batteries inside, just actual rechargeable AA's inside running it, and I don't think that has any effect at all to being plugged in. I don't think the plug-in can detect that or send any voltage there. So in its current setup, it is in a position where the batteries would die and you would just need more batteries, like the old Game Boys. Even if they are rechargeable batteries, you could mod it and put in a rechargeable connector and a wireless QI receiver, which would be nice, but I'm not 100% sure how you would get a QI receiver in the right spot. Like, you're gonna need a really small one, a really small loop, because there's not a lot of space there, just the height of 3 AA batteries. But yeah, throwing those together, that is clearly the better solution, and almost certainly they'll make a second version of the case that does just plug in a wireless, a rechargeable battery.
Well, let's see what the wind blows in.
There was clearly some things people knew they wanted on it. The case is not particularly cheap. I got it on sale for like $80 or something, so you throw in a couple more things and it's gonna be up at the $100 range, but that's really not a big deal. Here, I'm gonna lose, but they certainly are taking their sweet time. I guess that's mostly gonna be because I'm just not auto passing, and I should. There's a lot less work to do with the Retroflag Game Boy Pi case, because that's something I just bought for myself, and can just play with it. You're going to want to default set it up so that it can be accessed through SSH though, and learn how to use SSH, because you're not going to be able to use a keyboard on it or anything like that. Maybe I don't have a Bluetooth keyboard. Maybe there would be a way to get a Bluetooth keyboard on it, but that's about it. Fight something I don't control? Alright, fine. Indestructible until the end of the turn if I sacrifice a food. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about it. You can't plug in controllers, so you would need like a Bluetooth controller. It's not a... Using a Raspberry Pi Zero and the Game Boy Pi case is not a replacement or the first step if you want to get into Retro Pi and playing old games. It really isn't. You should get a Raspberry Pi 4, and I'd say go big. Get the biggest amount of RAM and the most expensive Raspberry Pi 4, unless there's a Raspberry Pi 5 out, which actually there was a sale. I could have bought a Raspberry Pi 4, and I was just trying to save money, so I didn't. I got a case on sale for a Raspberry Pi 4, which is different layouts of the board, so you need a different case. But then I didn't buy the actual board. But yeah, I'd say clearly get one of those and start with that. And I'm not even 100% sure. Like, the Retroflag website didn't even say it supported the Raspberry Pi 4. Oops. I wish I could undo that. Could I? Oops, I screwed up there.
Time to choose. Always so exciting.
So yeah, maybe it would be right now the best time to get a Raspberry Pi 3 and go a little bit cheaper that way. Or if you want to not have a small box, if that doesn't matter to you, a small computer that's dedicated to it, you can just install libretro on your PC or Mac. So I could have sacrificed a food and gained indestructible, which would have kept that one creature on the field for whatever that is actually worth. It's not really worth that much, because in the end, I still think Yeah. Come on, resolve. So, yeah. Suppose we should just go through the news and try to wrap up a little bit earlier today. Since I'm doing programming, my shortcut keys to start recording is a shift brackets, which would be curly brackets, and open curly brackets, close curly brackets to stop recording. So if I have my recording software open, then I run into the problem of accidentally starting a recording while I'm programming. So I'll have to remember that. I looked over at my screen and go, why am I recording? The good news is it didn't get any video footage, so it was just making effectively 0 bytes of data video files. But yeah, having your computer do something you weren't intending it to do because you hit the wrong buttons is not that useful. I also had to spend a decent amount of time trying to draw icons and get icons to be the right size.
Decisions.
So I'm going with 32 by 32 pixel icons, which are relatively large, but you kind of lose detail any smaller. And relatively, relative is the big term
in exchange for eternal servitude.
And my goal is I may have already mentioned this, I'm just gonna draw things on top of each other. So like the Wi-Fi image, I'm just gonna draw a Bluetooth symbol on top of it when Bluetooth is on, so that means that it spends half of the amount of space there. Or if it's plugged in, I'll just draw a plug right over the battery symbol, and that loses some information certainly, but not anything of any big amount.
My intellect is without
This
limit.
is another example of I should just concede. Like, this deck is garbage. I can't win here. Concede. This is the problem of just trying a deck before even looking at a deck. Guy was taking his sweet time to basically no reason. So let's just look at the breakup here. Lands. We have 19 lands, then a bunch of enchantments. How can I have only 19 lands? How did I end up with all these lands then? Let's see. Curious pair. Growth cycle. Insatiable appetite. Rabid bite. See, I'm just looking here to see if I've gotten any new cards. Let's get rid of that. Heraldic Banner. I am kind of just playing a later game Does once in future do? Return the target card from the graveyard to your hand. I don't think that's gonna work. I don't even know if this is a good card to play. That one was fine, but I don't know if I really need two of them. Other creatures having trample, way late game, Troll King. Alright, well that puts me at 69 cards. Let's see. So I'm just gonna think about this. Like, this was the only card that really would have synergized well if I had a second one of those. So did I just play like terrible? Or is there something more to this? Yeah. I'm not sure if I just had a terrible game that last time, or if the balance really is off. I don't know why the balance would be so off when I had only 19 land cards, but I guess I maybe have 19 plus 4 other cards that can give you mana, or several other cards that can give you mana with their heraldic banner, yeah, and such. I guess that interface would be better off suited if it said instead that it had a certain number of mana producing cards instead of land cards, because that's the more informational thing. Very rarely do you need lands specifically. You need either basic lands because you have a card that says draw a basic land, or you need something different. Like, see, this adds mana, but it's just a color changing effect. This won't activate, so I kind of just should not do anything. So yeah, let's start covering the news, because there's lots of work to be done. Gamatsu has an article here for the Famitsu Review Scores, issue 1619. A lot of things here that don't seem to be that big. Jedi Fallen Order got 34 out of 40, which is a pretty high score. But then Warriors Orochi 4 also got that 34 out of 40. I don't think there's really too much other to mention there, and we'll just keep it short and sweet. See, I want 3 lands before I would play this, which means I gotta kind of wait. And while I'm waiting, I'm getting my butt handed to me, so I mean, there's really still nothing I can do here. It's questionable to say that there is an issue of whether we should listen to Famitsu or not, but the problem here is it's just a crabs in a bucket concept. Like, even though there are allegations that the creator of Hideo Kojima, creator of Death Stranding, befriended slash effectively bribed people into have to now discard a card into good reviews that seems to be Famitsu still is kind of the top tier, most respected, just slightly less respected now review site. Alright, so we've got a problem, clearly. By the time I got 3 land here, I lost. Like, there's no way to survive this. So it's like I have too many creatures. I don't see how that is. Have I just completely forgotten what the balance was supposed to be? I thought it was 24 cards. Yep. By the way, I believe it was OpenCritic that kicked a bunch of negative reviews on Death Stranding, and it seems to be kind of a Reddit article more than an official statement. So there's no real telling why that would be. It could be that there is a very legitimate reason. It could be that there is a pretty illegitimate reason. So what I'm gonna do is get rid of the spinning wheels. In particular, I don't think they're that useful. And then that gets me down to 63. Gift of Paradise does seem like it's nice, but it actually probably isn't worth it. So I'm gonna get rid of one of them. District Guide would be nice. Create food tokens. There we go. Let's try that. By getting rid of the spinning wheels, I don't have to spend 3 mana to get more mana. And same is true. We still have the heraldic banners, which at any point I can make a white colored banner instead of a green colored banner to play that one character. Unfortunately, my Wi-Fi, my internet has never like fully recovered. It still does have some pages that just seem to time out on the first try. But then a quick reload seems to mostly handle it. But it was working for a brief moment there. Okay. Create a food token. Start with great. And then that gets that out of my hand. There's an advantage here that may not be completely obvious, that if you have a card that is not actually in your hand but can be played from the graveyard, which is what this is. This is great. This is just great. So I'm gonna take action and destroy that. and then decline that action. I'm just gonna hold on to. Well, I can't do anything more until I get one more land, but doesn't seem like I really need to, so let's play. And this might be where the green I really wish there was a way to decline an action on a specific card, because it's asking me if I want to take action to destroy my own food token, and there's no reason why I would want to do that. Can't do anything there, unfortunately. And there we go. So make that white to start with, and then do no attacks. Let's see, apparently here we have a Remedy Entertainment is going to be doing a Q&A at Reset Error for the next 9 hours. Of course, this members can submit questions for the next 9 hours and 38 minutes. Submissions close December 12th. So I don't think today is the 11th. So I'm not certainly a personal fan of Reset Error, but I'm not going to complain too much if somebody decides they want to make a big deal about that. Just in the turn there. This guy's just getting stronger and stronger. So, Remedy Entertainment, makers of Max Payne, Alan Wake, Quantum Break, and Control. I doubt they're going to have much new to say. It'll just probably be promotions of man, this guy's just getting buffed up. And I can use this. He's just gonna keep these on him. Probably should try a similar strategy. Okay. So 2 for that, then that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that makes that an 8-9. So this entire deck is built around the concept of doing something big. Target creature. To target creature. Alright. And then we've got a 4/4 here. And then we can attack here, I think fairly safely. This can convoke and have trample. One more. Fight something. But I want this to fight something. To make it indestructible this turn. Nah, let's just convoke. Well, these have trample, so if this was to block, you'd have to block with a couple of things, like this and this. So let's just wait, though, because he may just block with this and this. Yeah, they are proliferating. This is gonna suck. Alright, well. Then I think we've gotta just attack. Let's see. I think we just gotta attack with everything. And then if this guy's gonna block this guy, this guy, nope. There's the one that says sacrifice and put a 1/1 counter. This guy, yeah. See how this works. See, this will die, doing nothing. This, I'm hoping will do damage, and then I'm hoping will do more damage, and this will die, doing nothing. And yep, that did nothing. I should have attacked my very first turn that I could have. And I don't think that there's anything that saves me here. But my deck is getting slightly better. Like, slowly but surely we're trying to figure something out here. Although, if somebody was to make the argument that I should just rebuild my green deck completely, I would probably agree. You may sacrifice food. If you do, target creature gains 5/5 until the end of the turn. Otherwise, creature gains. Alright. Okay. And then next, I'll attack. Next. Activate that ability and go 1/1 and become invincible. Oh, I guess I could just buff this up more too. Yeah, so the wicked wolf can just keep on eating it. Oh, and this is like the big bad wolf in general. So I could have sacrificed this up to be a lot stronger, but I've lost. Well, at the very least, I seem to understand where I'm going with this deck somewhat. The other Magic video was a hypothetical video, or at least it was being phrased as a hypothetical video that maybe somebody had gotten some insider information in the idea that Wizards of the Coast might abandon support, not actually getting rid of printing paper cards, but is going to instead try to just not really support it so much and push people into playing Magic Arena, where they have a lot less overhead at the very least, as far as the... I definitely need that. A lot less overhead as far as just like not having to print cards, not having to deal with stores, not having to give cuts, not having to have tournaments that are built around so much of the paper element. You could still have major esports events where people are playing Magic Arena, and that would be a little bit easier and cheaper. You would be able to change cards and ban cards much more consistently and much easier. I believe they've even announced some new thing that they're going to do. See. When it enters the battlefield, choose up to one target creature with your flying that you don't control. Yeah. So yeah, mostly a speculative thing. They were definitely discussing it from it would be the concept of it being a very slow process, whereas I think it would be kind of a fast process. That almost certainly, in my opinion, would be the way this would go, is that you would just have a very, very fast process of them saying, we're just not going to print cards as much or as often, and we're going to focus on the digital. I think that's really the only way you can put a solid break into printing cards and supporting paper Magic, is to be quick and abrupt about it. That way all the people who are speculating and trying to have all the people that are trying to have a bunch of money invested and spent hundreds upon hundreds of dollars on Magic cards would still have that value. If anything, it would increase the value of their cards, so that keeps those people happy while only really alienating people who play paper Magic that don't have any cards, which is a very small percentage. Honestly, yeah, that would be a very, very small percentage of people. Draw cards whenever you cast a spell. It's not a terrible idea. The main thing I would say about that video, and it's like called Tolarian University, and he changed the title So clearly somebody was upset about that title, probably Magic fans. The main thing is he said in the next 5 years. I don't think Wizards of the Coast is abandoning support for paper Magic in the next 5 years, but I do suspect in the next 15 it will. Like, that totally makes sense that it would become archaic in a generation or so to have a let's see. This is a 3-3-4-4. This probably wouldn't be a bad card actually, but I'd have to learn how to use it. And that's kind of my problem right now, is that I've got a bunch of cards that I need to learn how to use. But yeah, I could see in 15 years them getting rid of paper Magic and not supporting it. There's still, though, a lot that has to be done with Arena, and I think they potentially are going to run into a problem with if they just abandoned paper Magic right now and did not have every card from their 25+ year history. That would be something that people would be upset about. See, and there is a argument to be made about the fact that there is a 25-year plus history in Magic, whereas the Hearthstone comparison, the Hearthstone comparison is much different. You really aren't at any point designing to make Hearthstone was never really designed to last as long as it was. See, what I should do here is probably make a green-black deck, since I love playing black in anyways, but I need a pure green deck, because if I don't have a pure green deck, then I can't play pure green cards and get so even these artifact cards don't really make sense. Alright, so that got me up to 80. Let's think about what we want to get rid of that's not land. Alright, this is a late game Convoke card. Let's get rid of one of these. This is a late game card, it's not worth playing. It's probably not worth playing. This creates 3 food tokens to bring it back on the field. It's a very late game card though. Although, I just don't know if we're sticking with the food token concept. I don't think we are. I don't think that works. I don't even know if we need this. I mean, this can put tokens on cards. But this just doubles the number of counters, so we don't really need that. food tokens. So now I'm down to 69. This is not really that useful. So get rid of that. Get rid of that. Lands. Get rid of that. We're actually going lower than what we had before. This one's not too bad of a card, and it just kind of creates food tokens for no reason. So then, is there something else that I'd like to play instead? Crew. So I could pull like the same cards over and over again with pattern matchers, which I don't know if there's a real reason to do that. Or I could have something with flying, which would be great. But do I want something that's an artifact with flying, or do I want a green with flying? Let's see if we can find a green with flying. Which you can't search this way. Interesting. Really? Just no. I misspelled it. I had to. Yeah. That would be ridiculous. Alright, Golden Goose is not a terrible flying creature. That leaves me at 60. I'm gonna just leave it there. Like, we're constantly getting into these deck rebuilds. It's just like deck rebuild on top of deck rebuild on top of deck rebuild. It's a real slow process. And yeah, yesterday I didn't play any and I think we're gonna probably get to that point a lot of times where I am just kind of not playing as often or playing on a daily basis. Because yeah, at some point I've got to get back to doing other things, and playing Magic every single day does not work for my schedule. I would have half a mind to just stream myself programming, but that would just be an embarrassment, frankly, and I'm very off and on that, and it's mostly just copying and pasting example code and seeing if it works, and then once I know it works by default, trying to modify the code to my needs. At least that's my hope as far as what it will be. I don't want to spend a ridiculous amount of time on things. Alright. What does this card do? Does 1 damage to him and then amasses a creature with a death touch creature. Okay. So, whenever you cast a spell, chosen color, give it a buff. Alright. Nice. Meanwhile, I'll attack with this one and hold on to that one. Excuse me. Gamatsu has an article here. Resident Evil 2 Remake sales top 5 million, surpassed the original. So, yes, this resurgence of Resident Evil has proven to be hyper successful. Which I don't think should really surprise too many people. Let's see. +1, +1. Oh, I forgot about this. Alright, we'll just create a food token then. That's all the Golden Goose can do, is create food tokens. This guy's gonna keep on getting buffed up. This guy's gonna keep on getting buffed up but can't do anything. Resident Evil 3 is all official at this point. We know it's happening. Although it does seem like part of what they were working on that looked like it was going to be a standalone separate game, the Resident Evil Left 4 Dead type game, I think now is just been directly added to the it's been just directly added to the Resident Evil 3 lineup, and so it's not something that's going to be added sold as a separate game, which I'm happy with that. I didn't really see a reason. I should have attacked with that actually. That was a mistake on my part. Oh well, we're gonna win here. And it's nice to see an actual victory potentially happen on the green deck, particularly. Green, blue, both very difficult. White, kind of difficult. The red, I think I just don't have the right cards for. Did I have some way I could have used that? I think probably. Probably could have saved that card. Yeah, almost certainly I could have saved that card, come to think of it, because he was a 3/3. If I... What did he play? Deal 3 damage. Yeah, totally could have saved that card. That was dumb of me. Alright, well, block that. And there goes his card. And food token. And create another food token. And be unblockable. And then all attack here. Like, I have all these food tokens, I could be spending them all I want. This might even work well with a black deck, because if I had Bola Citadel, I'd be 5-8 cards in the way. Yeah, I would be in a very good position if I had Bola Citadel right now. This guy's just gonna do 2. Which, honestly, I could... Like, I don't need 5, so I'll just sacrifice 1 food token to start with. Just tap that card for no reason. Let's see. Gametsu has an article here. Synaptic Drive launches spring 2020. This looks like a new game of really no interest. Yeah, doesn't look particularly interesting. Trying to go through the news and not getting anywhere. Let's see. Well, Gamatsu has an article here. A game called Death Come True will release for multiple platforms and multiple languages. It looks almost like this isn't animated. It's some kind of, I assume, murder mystery adventure visual novel. Yeah, visual novel. Sometime in 2020. Something I don't recognize. Am I supposed to be passing? There, at least. Yeah. I think in the interest of time, just going forward, I'm going to say some service had some trouble if it's video game related. So Twitch had some viewer count trouble. Not get into any more like details on top of that because that's just, it happens so often. And speaking of trouble, Gamatsu has Sakuna of Rice and Ruin delayed to 2020. This game, I believe, has been delayed before, so this is like the second, maybe even third delay of what is a action adventure game, I believe, that is also a slightly a farming simulator. You have to grow rice to feed your character and keep their health up. This is like a great card. Just get a couple of these on the field and just get quick victories, quick damage. Gamatsu has an article here. Resident Evil 3 Remake announced for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC includes Resident Evil Resistance. Resistance was the standalone Left 4 Dead kind of multiplayer thing. This, I think, is a much better idea than the last standalone garbage Resident Evil side game. If it is certainly the way first-person shooter games have been developing otherwise, is it's always been a case of maybe a second team, a second company developing a multiplayer, and then the main company developing the single-player experience. The thing I think is possible to happen here is that I wouldn't be surprised if there is a I really wouldn't be surprised if it turns out that there's a inclusion of Resident Evil Nemesis and possibly even Code Veronica in Resident Evil 3 Remake, because it's going to be really hard for those side games that were popular back in the day to be their own side remake stories. I just don't expect that to happen. It can't be blocked. Yeah, it can't be blocked. And then attack. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Nemesis does pretty much get sold as some kind of form of DLC, or as just a thing that is in Resident Evil 3. And then the next official game will be the numbered game Resident Evil 4 remake. And after Resident Evil 4 remakes, then they have Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6, which I wouldn't be surprised if they don't bother to remake those. They're kind of painting themselves in the corner because they're moving so fast to make the Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 remakes at this point that Resident Evil 9 hasn't been announced. Or is it Resident Evil 8 is the next one in the that hasn't been announced, and that's It's kind of shocking. More food tokens. More playing with these cards. And then more can't be blocks. Let's see. Do I want to attack with one yet? Let's see. Can't be blocked with more than one creature. So the only thing that could actually block this and kill this would be that. So I'm gonna try something here. I'm gonna attack with this and see if he decides to block it. That should put this back on my sideboard here, whatever that's called, the artifact side, or and then that would allow me to attach it to this guy, and when I attach it to this guy, then nothing would be able to block him except for one creature, and he can start wreaking havoc. And we're at 10 to 20, and he's not got a lot on the field, so I wouldn't be surprised if he just concedes. Let's see. What does this do? Gain 3 life? Yeah, that's nothing. Let's see. Gamasutra has an article here. Sales down 25% at the close of GameStop's third quarter. GameStop is just getting worse and worse. And at the close of their third quarter would have been, I assume Black Friday would have been included in that. I did not really see anything whatsoever. In control, it gains haste until the end of the turn. Alright, fine. So, act of treason. Let's see. So, does this guy have flying? No? Why can't I not choose a blocker then? So he's gonna do like 12 damage here. That's fine. Like if I need health, don't worry, I can get health. This guy's gonna come back on my side. This guy's gonna play that. And since we don't need this, we'll just do that. And so we have 1, 2, 3, plus 6 is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I believe. So this should be -1. Yeah, victories! Victories on a green deck. That is nice. Let's play one more game. There you go, new cosmetic. And what happened there? I guess that was just my first victory. Next amount of XP. Like, by the end of today, there's a decent chance we get that pet. Which, I don't really care about the pets, but it's nice anyways. Magic has a State of the Game December 2019 performance check-in. Before the November game update, 88% of players had performance FPS drops, and now after the update it's down to 25% according to them, and 40% had hitches, and now it's down to 6% of players. Brawl Days apparently is something that's going to happen. This is like 10,000 gold for one commander card. Like, I don't think that's something I'd really want to do. Historic is something they're still pushing. I will be more than happy to take an easy victory there. And then they're introducing card suspensions, which suspensions seems to just be a rebranding of bannings. So they are, in a sense, suspensions might be specifically bannings from standard, also, but instead bannings to historic. So they're just having like two phrases. Suspension, a card suspended seems to be for historic, and it's the same four cards that were banned from standard though. It's Oko, Thief of Crowns, Field of the Dead, Once Upon a Time, and Veil of Summer. I guess the idea by calling it a suspension, let's see, is that perhaps they think it will come back into play at some point in historic. They think that they can fix it, that they can rebalance it. We'll see. It says here, if you're interested in learning more about our banned versus suspended philosophy and how the two differ, as well as a deeper look into it, see the historic suspension announcement link. Let's see. There will be this historic artisan for between December 20th and December 30th, which is 5,000 gold for some ranked draft Dominaria cards, I think. Or it's historic boosters, which is some new thing. You can now sort decks. Like I have been noticing that they've been changing the UI a little bit there, so we can. So yeah, they're making improvements. Like I would not accuse Wizards of the Coast of resting on their laurels. Really, perhaps they are making some bad decisions in some of the ways the actual game plays, but as far as Arena in itself, the program, the software, everything seems to be going forward. Perhaps going forward slowly. We still need a mobile version of this game, and there's little to no indication that is going to happen, and so that's a little disconcerting, because that eventually could be the thing that kills Magic Arena, is if there's just anything to replace it that doesn't have an Activision Blizzard behind it and has mobile support. Like Fortnite certainly would not have succeeded if it did not support mobile. There's been plenty of other games that have failed because they don't support mobile. Actually, I think I might lose here just because I'm not getting cards on the field fast enough compared to another green deck. And so this is probably the linchpin, the thing that would cause me to lose. Is that if you're short on mana, hexproof, so that does not work. So I'm just gonna have to do no attacks here and then discard something. I hate that you click on something and then there's no way to unclick on something when you're on the discard phase. That sucks. Yeah, it's just Alright, what is this gonna do? +3/+3? So I block. No. I play this on this, and then I block this there. That's pretty much all I can do, and I still lose. Here we have a game on Steam called Sick Way, which is an odd perspective, like 2D MS Paint graphics that for some reason is tilt shifted. I have no idea why you would do that. It's $1.79, English, Spain, Spanish, and Russian, so almost certainly a low effort Russian game. Like I don't even know why you would program a game like that. This feels like somebody is selling a game that they couldn't even program correctly. Like why would it ever draw that way? It's pretty ridiculous. Alright, well, this is a good point to end this recording, so as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list, or gift me a gift card. Remember, the winter Steam sale is going to be the big one, and that's coming up, I imagine, in a couple of weeks. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to another recording of MTG Arena. Today is Wednesday, December 11th. We are playing our green deck. I guess there's kind of not a reason to play the green deck, other than I kind of want to. So I'm just trying to learn it some more. I just rebuilt it, so I'm going to stick with it. But logically, I should be probably playing the black deck and playing ranked and seeing if I could get up a little bit higher on ranked. I don't think I really could. Honestly though, on second thought, it probably is better for me to learn all the colors and how to play all the colors and build better versions of each of the other color decks instead of single-handedly always focusing on playing black and trying to get up on ranked playing one color. The truth of the matter, I think we pretty much know, is that a combo color strategy is what really is going to have to be the thing I adopt if I want to get higher, like playing 2-3 colors, even possibly more colors in one deck is the higher level of Magic play, and I am still not really at a position where I think I have enough cards to build decks like that or enough understanding of the game. Well, that was a mistake, but I guess it didn't really matter. I skipped my main phase 1, and thus I automatically skipped my attack phase, which it really wouldn't have mattered any, but it means I put the character in main phase. I summoned him in main phase 2, he would have had summon sickness regardless. So we're playing against a blue deck that's like a deck destruction thing. So this, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, scry 1. Whenever you cast a spell, draw a card. So I could cast a spell right now, but I don't want to, so I mean, I could. It would draw a card and move us forward. Let's see. This would give me +3/+3. Let's go ahead and attack. Attack. Are you gonna block? Cast a spell. Draw a card. Now that I've drawn a card, I can play a land. Yeah, everything coming up Millhouse. News-wise, we have a Gamma Sutra article. Sony will bring MLB The Show to rival console platforms as early as 2021. So Sony was publishing MLB The Show. I feel like they were doing it under a contract with the Major League Baseball, certainly, but maybe some other developers too. Is it 100% in-house? This does not particularly bode well for the PlayStation 5, but it does kind of also make sense that that MLB would say, hey, we want more sales, and we can't get more sales sticking on one console. It is also a big shift in the lock-in that Sony of Japan has promoted as the people that were in charge of Sony, and now that Sony Entertainment Interactive particularly is being run out of California, it does seem like it is just a total lack of interest in having exclusives. An in-house exclusive losing its own exclusivity is ridiculous and unheard of. Alright. So now we have Season of Growth ×2. We can just attack with, I think, little repercussion. Yeah. It's probably not as big news as some people will chalk it up to be, though, because, let's face it, not too many people are playing MLB The Show anyways. It's a little surprising that EA hasn't figured out a way to swoop in and monopolize sports. The other argument certainly could be made, too, that there's kind of a lack of interest in baseball in general. Scry, do I want another land? Nah, let's not take another land. Sure. And so we play this. One of these cards is giving all my creatures -1. So I'm just going to do no attacks there. The end of the most recent event on my cell phone game, Destiny Child, is about to end in 12 hours or so. Or maybe in a couple hours, actually. And I've just had so much network problems that I haven't been able to rush through that and improve my experience. And use all the stamina that I would want to use. Alright, well, let's start by playing this and then resolve that. Can't attack or block. Darn it. Now we put something here. Yeah, I'm gonna just hold on to that. And then I guess I have to hold on to it twice. So if you are gonna scry and you have two of these, you've got to scry pretty quickly. Let's see. Can't do that. Moving on, Gamatsu has an article, Axiom Verge 2 announced for the Switch. I did not really enjoy Axiom Verge 1 particularly well as selling itself as kind of a crazy Metroidvania with a H.R. Giger art aesthetic to it. Like, I just didn't... The way it actually played was not particularly interesting. And it had a whole bunch of secrets that I think probably made it more popular than it deserved because it was just a streamer bait type game where people were streaming it to find the secrets, and then once I found the secrets, they interest kind of disappeared. So yeah, I'm not particularly interested in playing Axiom Verge 2 if it came out to PC. It is slightly interesting that it's coming to Switch, considering how it is just a Metroidvania clone, but on the other hand, it hardly is a case of Nintendo really caring about Metroidvania. Let's just go ahead and sacrifice the food while we're at it. Okay. Spend 4 mana. Cast creature spells to do that. And then done and done. Okay, now we have trample, which lets me attack with this and attack with this. Yeah, I don't think trample actually worked there. Darn it. I think I'm gonna lose here. There's an article here. Team 17 announces a survival light sandbox game called The Survivalist for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. I feel like The Survivalists is a game I've already heard of, but I'm probably confusing it with The Escapist from Team 17. So, yeah. Seems like they're just kind of doing the same thing over and over again for better or worse. Let's see. Gift of Paradise. Do we have anything else that we could do? Sure. Like there's... Could I not attack with this? I should have been able to attack with this. And I didn't. I screwed up. I screwed up and I lost. Well, it wasn't really a case of I lost specifically because of that. Though, it really was more of a case of I lost just because. Unless somehow my trample block here can do 9 damage and then somehow do a whole bunch more damage. All these flying creatures beat me. Probably need some green cards with reach, if I was to think about it. But yeah, that's what we're trying to learn here, is what cards are worth it, what cards are not. Actually, the card to give everything trample proved to be pretty useless there, even though I played it twice. a lot of his late game strategies do seem to kind of fall apart. Whereas I think I'm doing better with these early game cards. Let's see, play this, attack, start on the right foot. Gametsu has an article. Skateboard has added a Switch version. This is a game where you're a bird skateboarding. Like, it's also coming out for Xbox One and PC. It might be cool. It might not. You know, it is a interesting concept that will then require a certain level of interesting delivery. 3 guys on the field at the beginning. Open Critic has an article here. The PlayStation State of Play. Everything announced during Sony's December 10th live stream. Now today is December 11th, so what was announced? Well, let's start by just zooming out so we can actually read things. Resident Evil 3 confirmed, Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC, Ghost of Tsushima shares half a trailer, Dreams exits early access, Untitled Goose Game honks onto the PS4 and Xbox next week, Predator Hunting Ground arrives in April, Spellbreak is a battle royale full of mages, it's getting a PS4 closed beta. A new Square Enix IP, Babylon's Fall, debuts some gameplay trailer. That's actually interesting to me. I want to see that. Let's do this. And then do this. And then do this. And then can we do... Can't, because well, actually, can we? This, and then sacrifice using that. Yeah, that's not worth doing. Just go ahead and attack there. Let's see. Otherwise, they have reintroducing a VR Paper Beast, a VR sandbox featuring origami animal kingdoms, trippy first-person shooter superliminal. Also, so the only thing I want to actually see is Babylon's Fall, and this is tiny little video format. Like, why is that so small? I don't know if Babylon's Fall is that other game that was announced that just had like a brief trailer and that was that. What I'm seeing now is something that looks like a high action, people are swinging swords like Devil May Cry in a sense, very far away, large slashes of energy, knocking a character up and shooting them. It looks a lot like Dark Souls if you took Dark Souls and turned it from a slow action thought requiring strategy RPG and instead turned it into a God of War game. In fact, I see something very much that looked like a God of War move there. Which, let's face it, the Devil May Cry or God of War series kind of have their own limitations in that they've gone different directions and they've chosen to do different things. But I would really have to double check to see if Babylon Fall was that other game that got like a brief teaser at E3. I don't think it particularly matters too much. I will sacrifice a food for that. And I might as well do all attacks since that's happening. And just race for the face here. Can't be blocked by more than 2 creatures. So that kills that, which is fine. Just equip that to the flying creature, and then like just go ahead and, well, actually first let's do this and buff this up. And now next, all attack. I think we may very well have it. Like next turn I could probably play this and this and just have that attack and win. Gamatsu has an article here. Oddworld Stranger Wrath HD for Switch launches January 2020. We're so close to 2020, I'm gonna have to remind myself of that. I've been reading a lot of articles saying it's coming in 2020. Like 2020 is less than 4 weeks from now. The Oddworld series, though, kind of a problem, because I just never could play any of them, and they're all very different and they're all very old, and I would really personally like to see a remake of the series into a completely different style of game, which that doesn't seem like that's likely or fair to actual fans of the game. Okay, so I don't even need to attach this. I just play this here and then play this here and then go ahead and attack with everything just for fun, and nothing can block that. So two of these, which is not guaranteed you'd ever have 2 of these in your hand, can potentially win the game right then and there. Just go ahead and auto pass. Tech Raptor has an article here. Tim gameplay trailer. This is a massive multiplayer online game inspired by Pokemon. Let's see what that looks like. This is a different Pokemon inspired game than the other Pokemon inspired game, which had some controversy around it. And clearly we're going to see more of these Pokemon inspired games. I would not want to play it as an MMO though. That's for sure. It does not look bad, but I just would not want to play MMOs. Although in a funny way, I almost would say that Pokemon is probably better suited as an MMO, a living game that just constantly adds new characters and constantly evolves, instead of the reselling of the same thing over and over again with just slight improvements on an annual basis. I don't think you'd find too many Pokemon fans that say they love the fact that their Pikachu that they had from Pokemon Yellow probably is not transferable all the way up to Pokemon Sword and Shield. Just gonna get rid of one of these because having 2 of those I think is actually a mistake. See, Gamatsu has an article here. Procedural sailing adventure game Sail Forth adds PS4, Xbox One, and Switch versions. So I guess it was PC before then. Let's quickly jump over and look here. So almost like a raft game and a Minecraft game combined, except for its pirates and its ships, which I think would probably be pretty boring. Sea of Thieves already exists, so it is a little weird to then introduce a... Probably should have played this instead. So it's a little weird to introduce yet another game that is just Sea of Thieves, knowing that Sea of Thieves failed pretty much. And the Year of the Pirate that was supposed to happen in 2019, total failure there. Like, that totally did not happen. I am going to run out of card before I even run out of mana. Yeah, playing this second ability, 6 mana, is very late game. You're almost never going to do it. But whatever. Scry. Let's not draw that. We need more creatures. And then go ahead and be avoidable. Next, and then attack with these two. See, Gamatsu has an article. The Talos Principle Deluxe Edition is now available for the Switch. I'm not sure what the Deluxe Edition really includes, other than probably the Road to Gehenna DLC, which is fine. Like, I didn't find that the Road to Gehenna DLC was particularly anything more than just more Talos Principle, and I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more if I had played it right after I'd played the Talos Principle originally. And certainly it would be a question about just how much enjoyment you could really get from a Talos Principle 2. They would have to build in a lot more puzzles and set it in the real world, and not in just a virtual world yet again. Or you set it in a virtual world, but it has to be a completely different collection of virtual world environments, which I think would be part of the problem. Probably too much work for them. Meanwhile, there's not been really a serious SAM game, and the general idea is that the Talos Principle was the beginnings of development of a new serious SAM game. I think there hasn't been a new serious SAM game. I'd be really surprised if there was. Okay. Like, all I could do is sacrifice that for health, which I could do, certainly, but there's no real reason to do that right now. Next we have a game on Steam, Dragon Quest Builders 2. I will put it on the fall list, I guess, but yeah, even if this is probably the best clone of Minecraft to exist, and it is like the best Minecraft clone on Steam to exist, it has de novo, it's $60, it's, as far as I can tell, not really adding much compared to what Minecraft adds. It's just putting the Dragon's Quest branding on top of a Minecraft clone. So yeah, I'd have a hard time ever deciding to play that, particularly since I'm just skipping the first one, and you could skip the second one because there might be a third one that comes out. The fact that they're at the sequel already, and Minecraft is still just at Minecraft version 1. Right. There we go. bunch of these creatures fly, so I think I very possibly am going to fail at flying. Fail because of flying. This is going to do 7, 8, 9 damage right now. Let's just go ahead and we can't even sacrifice ourselves. Next we have a game on Steam here called Warp Through, which seems to be some kind of tilt platforming game. Fast action platformer. Looks like it might be a mobile port. Let's see. Yeah, it seems like you're just... Seems like it's just kind of a weird game. $10.79. Says it's close to Shovel Knight and Downwell, 2 games I really didn't like. English only, third party EULA. Yeah, I don't think Warp Through looks particularly interesting just because of its gameplay style. Its art style is alright, but not great by any means. And I hate when you get into scenarios like this where it's just like, I just don't want to do anything. So I've already got it on auto passing. Why are you making me reconfirm? There we go. 3 2/2 bears. Which that apparently is a slang in general. Let's see. Let's go ahead and not take that. Like a 2/2 bear in Magic is any creature that is a 2/2 that does nothing, or a bear in Magic is any 2/2 creature. I guess we're trying to strive for a very late game strong character. Is this good enough? Not really. I may just not have a card. And that still didn't save the day. So clearly we need something with reach. Like we've had 2 games basically in a row where we need something that's either flying or with reach. So back to edit, and hopefully we don't spend too much time. Reach. Target gets +3/+3 and gains reach until the end of the turn. Gains. This one has reach in the first place, but it's a defender. Let's put 2 of those in the field. And see if we can maybe put those in the field. And what do we want to get rid of otherwise? Maybe get rid of Heraldic Banner. It may not actually work very well here. Yeah, I don't think this is worth it. I don't think that's worth it. So that leaves us with 3 more things. And yeah, I'm gonna get rid of 3 of these. Now that will be the first time that I don't use Heraldic Banner in its maximum amount in the deck. Intentionally, at least. TechRaptor has an article here. Level Up Your Love with Boyfriend Dungeon coming to Nintendo Switch in 2020. This is apparently a different art style than what we had been seeing and what had been teased for Boyfriend Dungeon up until this point, and boy has this game been teased. They have been talking about this game for what I would say was 2 or 3 years now. And yeah, this art style looks completely different. This is one of those things where the people making the game either kind of love the concept because they're SJWs, or yeah, we've been seeing this girl and that guy, or maybe that is a guy. Like, it does seem like that there's one girl there, or one female presenting creature. Yeah, so there's been like a bunch of promotion, way too much promotion, very, very over promoted as a game, and it's just not been covered fairly because it's just gotten way too much early coverage, way too much coverage in general. Seems like one of the people I was following on Twitter a year ago and finally stopped following, like PC Gamer, was covering it, I believe, almost on a bi-weekly basis. Every couple of weeks you would hear something more about it, or you wouldn't really even hear anything more about it. That was part of the problem, is that they were just talking about it and there's still really nothing to say about it. Is there actually a release date? No. It's still just getting promoted. So it seems like the developers at least know how to put out a press release and get their press release actually mentioned, but I mean, you can't really say anything else because there really isn't anything else to say. I'd be fine with playing it if it's a good game. I question if it's going to be a good game. And in the whole like ethics and journalism element, there is also, I suppose, a side note here where Twitch has had a live stream fail, as Reddit puts it, r/livestream fails, where Anita Sarkeesian, who should not be streaming on Twitch because she has Tourette's syndrome, said the same thing that PewDiePie got in big trouble with. Although, in all fairness, PewDiePie is not claiming to have Tourette's syndrome, and I would, frankly, put it down to a claim, because I'd really like to hear from a doctor. I'd like to see an actual diagnosis there, and not just somebody claiming Tourette's as a way of increasing their victimhood. But that puts Twitch in a unique position because A, Twitch has never been fair and treats different people differently, but B, also they can't really act on her saying something incredibly offensive because of her claims of Tourette's. So I think you'll immediately start to see a lot of other Twitch streamers, and this is where it becomes video game news. I would not be surprised if you see a lot of other Twitch streamers start claiming they have Tourette's syndrome. And regardless of whether it's true or not, I heavily suspect that's where you'll start having that happen. Anybody that gets kicked off of or suspended or in trouble with Twitch in any way, I imagine, will now claim they have Tourette's syndrome if they say something inappropriate. Tourette's is a weird disease too that seems to be believed to be people just always cursing and saying offensive things, but I think, at least for some people that have Tourette's, they just say random words, not just offensive things. That's the weird part, is how could a disease of the mind force you to say things you don't want to say? It gets close to my personal theory that I think a lot of people claim to have or have overcome dyslexia just to say that they had something wrong with them, or to increase their victim status. Like, I remember when I was very young, dyslexia was the thing nobody had even heard about, and nowadays I hear lots and lots of people say they had it, and maybe that's just better diagnosis, or maybe it is just a convenient excuse for why people didn't do well in school. Yeah, and in all fairness, had I done particularly bad in school, and yeah, claiming dyslexia would be something that would be a very easy thing to do. Would make some sense. Let's see, do we need to sacrifice? No, not really. I mean, we can. So yeah, I question when people self-diagnose themselves. With people who say they're allergic to wheat, people that think they're allergic to peanut butter when they really aren't, or bananas even now. Like people diagnosing their kids with allergies that they don't really have, peanuts and stuff. Yep. I think people love to take on little excuses, but in the end, just back to the Nita Sarkeesian thing for a brief second. I don't want to talk about her ever. If she knew she had Tourette's, then and there was any chance of her spouting a highly offensive word out on a live stream, she should never live stream. She could easily pre-record herself, put herself on a 7-second delay. She could easily not stream at all. So, yeah, you put yourself in the position to do that and violate the rules. You knew what the rules were. You knew that there was a chance. You should have known that at the very least there was a chance with Tourette's you might violate those rules. You really shouldn't. She really shouldn't be given any free pass there. They should ban her. They should kick her off. They should say, for your own sake, we're going to kick you off of Twitch, because this is not a platform for people who might accidentally say something hugely offensive. This card is not as good as I thought it was. Hey. +1/+1 counter for each creature card in your graveyard. That doesn't work for me at all. Let's go ahead and sacrifice a card. Moving on, we have a game on Steam, Hades, which was rated very positively. Now, it's an RPG roguelike. It has been an Epic exclusive. I believe this was the first Epic Store exclusive. So, yeah, it's still early access for some reason. $19.99 after what seems like 6 months of being an Epic Store exclusive. That's kind of ridiculous. It's English with a bunch of other languages. Only English is full audio, though. It's from Supergiant, the developers of Bastion and Transistor. I wouldn't really hate to play Hades, but I am going to just leave it on the follow list until it comes out of early access. And at this point, since it's already had a 6 month exclusive, then it does become weirdly irrelevant. It's just lost its entire audience at that point because of the exclusivity and because of the early access. Both are very problematic for your game. Let's see. Next we have Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek, which I believe is not the is this the name of the multiplayer Hello Neighbor game? Or is that Secret Neighbor? There's like 2 of them out. They're just trying to make a whole franchise on this series. So yeah, this is single player only. So this is not the Hello Neighbor. Just come on and keep on passing. Let's see. Yeah, Secret Neighbor is the big multiplayer one. And then, but there's also Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek and Hello Neighbor alphas and different versions of Hello Neighbor. Like, it was super popular due to streamers, and they're trying now to capitalize on it. This is supposedly a prequel, and this does look very much like a different game. So it'd be kind of weird to cover this game and play this prequel and then really not have any interest of playing the original game. But I'll put it on the following list and let's see. But that's kind of all I can say. Do I have enough here to do this? No. So we do this. And then we do this. And we do that. And do that. There's kind of no reason to block with this, so we'll go ahead and spend 1 there and attack with that. Yeah, not knowing what really the story of Hello Neighbor really is, it seems like this Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek prequel, you're playing as the bad guy, which my assumption is that at some point the bad guy kills or loses his family and goes crazy or something and becomes the bad guy, and my assumption is that you're doing a prequel to that. Alright, finally. The 1 card with reach. See. Moving on, next game we have on Steam is Steins Gate, My Darling's Embrace. Steins Gate being the hugely popular visual novel where a guy is like obsessed in love with someone who dies, and then he changes realities over and over again into different scenarios to keep them alive. This might be a side story visual novel on that. This tagged funny. I'll put it on the follow list. Probably should just be on the wish list in general. $26.99, particularly expensive, but that's the very popular visual novels in a nutshell. Full Japanese audio, English interfaces, 50 or 60 achievements. I can't read that. Probably for different story paths, so you probably want to play it over and over again. This probably is not the first Steins Gate to play. Visual novels in general are kind of in a weird position because I was trying to work my way up to having time to cover visual novels. It would be very weird to try and cover one now that YouTube has made it clear that they will only put out up to 3 announcements per day. I don't know how I could ever commit a time slot to a visual novel knowing that that is such a niche audience. On the other hand, I should just do whatever I want and not care about it, because it's not like I'm making any money on YouTube anyways. So being popular and getting views at this point is extremely secondary to just creating whatever content I want. I'd like to be popular, I'd like to get views, I'd like to be monetized again, but I wouldn't be surprised if I ever do get monetized again if it's right before YouTube just falls apart and nobody's watching it anyways. So next we have a game on Steam here called Boneworks. I believe this was the game I saw a demo of, where the guy was cramming a person inside of a locker. That was like his first action. And I've heard people say that this might be like a secret equivalent to Half-Life Alexa. It is very much designed around having scenarios where you grab things with your hands and you're not just standing in one place shooting things. You're doing a lot of stuff. It takes place both in a reality and a virtual reality world. I don't think this really has any real connection though to Valve, but it is, by the looks of it, perhaps some of the best programming we've seen so far as actually having a VR experience where you're actually interacting with objects. You're picking up guns, you're loading them, you're reloading them, you're actually able to somewhat move and accomplish things like you would in the real world. So yeah, Boneworks will go on the follow list. It's $29.99 for VR only and English full audio and nothing else. There is a video here where the guy is holding a crowbar. They are slyly suggesting that this is the real Half-Life VR game to be excited about, which that's a dangerous implication to try to make, certainly. Next we have a game on Steam called Hurt World, which the logo makes it look like it's Hurt World 2, but the title says no. This looks like it's just mostly a low effort first person shooter player versus player game, and we're having trouble with the images loading. It's $8.75, a bunch of languages supported, and it's multiplayer only. Yeah, nothing there looks particularly interesting, although in all fairness the graphics don't look terrible. I still feel like I probably just need some more early game creatures in this deck. Create food token, and then go ahead and can't create another food token. Alright, fine. Then we'll do nothing. Next we have a game on Steam here called Shovel Knight Showdown, which looks like it's more Shovel Knight if I was to guess. Now, I will fully admit it seems like people like Shovel Knight, so this is probably very exciting for people who are fans of Shovel Knight. I tried to play it, I didn't like it. I found like it was just a bunch of scenes of frustration platforming, you know, a lot in the vein of the DuckTales game, and I found the DuckTales remaster to be a lot more accepting for modern players, people that don't want that kind of frustration. This might be a player versus player experience only. Yeah, it doesn't inherently show me any actual platforming, so it's kind of a Smash Brothers clone. $8.99. Says it has some single player games. If you own Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, you will not need to purchase Shovel Knight Showdown separately. The title will include all versions of with all versions. Well, then I just need to put that on the ignore list then, because I own Treasure Trove. But what happened there? How did it go from him not moving to me not moving? I guess I was just not paying enough attention. So in a funny way, I may just continuously get all of the Shovel Knight games regardless of whether I want to play them or not, which is not a terrible position to be in by any means. Next game we have here is Shovel Knight King of Cards, which looks like it might be a more traditional Shovel Knight game with just yet another character. The problem with the Shovel Knight game in general, there might be like a card game element to this also, it was the fact that you were kind of doing the same levels over and over again with just 3 different characters. At least that's what it seemed like to me. Let's see. And can't really do anything else, so just no attacks. So Shovel Knight King of Cards here is $9.99. If you own Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, you will not need to purchase this game. So they're just giving me, I guess, everything. Alright, well, that's another game I can put on the ignore list then, because I don't need to purchase it twice. In fact, everything on top of Shovel Knight Treasure Trove has just seemed to be free. And honestly, if you bought the original Shovel Knight that's not even available, I think you got upgraded to Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. So even the creators seem like they're embracing this. I don't know, maybe there's some Kickstarter funding there that justifies them giving so much new content, or maybe they made some promises that they really didn't deliver on. But generally speaking, I still don't think they're making Shovel Knight easy enough for me personally, and that's the thing that I would really want to see them do, is make the game easier. The DuckTales Remastered game worked for me because it was easy. At least playing it on easy was easy, and I could play through it and just have a 5-hour experience from beginning to end and be done with it. Whereas Shovel Knight was difficult even on the easiest setting, and I had spent maybe an hour and a half on it and not really gotten anywhere. It was already just irritating me. And in all fairness, again, I have a little bit of arthritis in my fingers, so any button mashing, super challenging platforming game, or just super challenging Super Meat Boy game is just not a game for me. The same was true when I tried to cover Super Meat Boy. And so many games have come out on Steam like that, that there's an entire category. There's thousands of games that I would just never consider, on top of not considering them because they're bad quality. Moving on, Komatsu has an article. D3 publisher and Deco announced Gleamlight for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. I feel like Gleamlight had already been announced, but let's see what this trailer shows. It looks like it might be a dark platforming game. Yep. This might be playable if it's easy. Like, some platforming, some adventure games are fine. but if they're difficult, then they tend not to be. And I am having a hard time just letting the game play. Yeah, eventually I am just going to start developing decks so that you can't do anything with them. Like entire concepts around. I don't want to have to resolve. Finally. Finally. Alright. Great. So now when anything tries to attack, I can defend this, and I can give it indestructible and buff it up. Let's see, next game we have on Steam, Shovel Knight, Shovel of Hope. Now it's really ridiculous to release 3 different games in your series at the exact same time. Is this also involved? Yeah, so it's like 3 separate games. This one seems to be more Shovel Knight. Very much just seems to be more Shovel Knight. It seems like what they're not really breaking up old content and selling it again. At least it doesn't seem like that's what they're doing. Seems like they're just selling new content to people who haven't purchased the game up until this point. We don't want to do that. Alright, well then next, go ahead and attack here. I can see the beginning of the end, and I would prefer not to have a 3rd stream today, so. Alright, so now. Sure. 5 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. Am I sure? Yes. Sacrifice that. I don't know why it's asking am I sure. Indestructible. Deals 5 damage, can't be destroyed by damage. That should work. Yeah, that should work fine. And it's tapped. And so I don't know why it asked, am I sure there? That's totally what I should have done. That was the right strategy. The game doesn't even understand itself, clearly. Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Calypso opens a 3rd internal studio to work on the next-gen Commandos title. I feel like we already talked about this. So, like, I've never heard of Commandos as a series, so it doesn't particularly interest me to hear an article like that. Let's see. They're just going to draw a card. See, +3 and +3 and reach. Okay. So we choose a blocker here. And then we do this to... Nope. I'll just block. And then in the turn there. Do I want to attack? Yeah. I mean, you could block here and you could block here, and then that would kill that guy, but I don't think that matters too much. Gamma Sutra has an interesting article here. Google refuses to budge on the Play Store fees after Epic asks for a Fortnite exemption. Which is, I guess, probably an indication that Epic would like to be on the Google Play Store and is not making as much money as they would like, which is crazy to say considering Fortnite theoretically is making all the money ever. And right for Google to not make exceptions to its rules. I mean, if you're making a rule, you shouldn't ever make exceptions, or if you are making exceptions, it should be very broad exceptions that make sense in to apply to a bunch of people, not just one company or one thing. Alright, next, all attack. Let's see what decides to. So I could give +3/+3, or I could give +3/+3, and then giant growth. Alright. That would destroy that. That would just block that. I wish one of these would give trample, but it doesn't. So, best move is to do that. And all he would need to do is 2 more damage. So we'll have to be a little bit careful. Maybe not attack with this or this. Let's see. Create food token. And do we want to do anything more? Because if I do more things, yeah, I think that's as much as I can do. So next part of this would be to attack here with that, attack here with that, attack here with not that, and not that. We can attack with that though. So just attack with those two. Yeah, okay. In the turn. Let's see, +3/+3 did not work on this guy anyway, so I should probably just get rid of. Should probably just block that. Can this guy create a food token? Maybe he could. Probably not. TechRaptor has an article here. Dr. Lupo, Lirik, and Tim the Tatman extend their contracts with Twitch. I have no idea who any of these people are. But yeah, I guess this is 3 people that extended their contracts instead of moving over to Mixer or YouTube. One of them did move over to YouTube. Gamma Sutra has a blog here, how audio design enhances Diablo 2. While you're talking about Diablo 2, I have no idea, but I mean, certainly audio design did enhance it. That was the beginning of the CD-ROM era for PC gaming, and having tracks of music play in the background definitely established an environment a lot better and enhanced the game experience. What is this guy doing? What am I? 3 damage to each of the 2 other targets. So 4 damage to this guy, 3 damage to this guy. So and then what else do we want? Now, as far as blockers go, do I want to block that guy? Not really. Let's see. Power equal. There we go. Do that on that. And then do I want to keep this and protect? Attack here for sure. Attack here for sure. And let's see. Let's just attack with those 2. I'm wearing them down. Alright, and so since we didn't have to do that, we'll put 1 more creature on the field. Gametsu has the same article here. Steins Gate, My Darling Embrace, now available for PS4, Switch, and PC in the West. Slapstick romantic comedy series of Steins Gate what if scenarios. I didn't think Steins Gate was always a slapstick romantic comedy, but okay. If you say so. Here we go. We can now. Well, we've got this. Just next. All attacks. Attack. Go ahead and play. He's got nothing. Yep, and we would need like 4 more victories today. And if I thought we'd get this by today, but probably by Friday I'll already have that. Play 1 more game, maybe 2, and then we're gonna be done with this stream. Gamatsu has this Steins Gate 0, which I believe is the prequel, is now available for the Switch in the West. And I wouldn't really call Steins Gate 0 as a slapstick romantic comedy. Let's see, can we? Yeah, it's rated M for mature. But it is all visual novels still. It's all the Steins Gate series. I feel like I'm still a little short on mana. Like, I can't help but feel like 2 more mana at least be helpful. But we did win, so I can't have played too badly, could I? Yeah, we've got something with reach. Let's see. TechRaptor has an article here. Make friends with the dummies in barrelators? No idea what this is. It looks terrible, like MS Paint graphics, though. This looks like total garbage. I kind of hate that TechRaptor bothers to cover these garbage games, but heck, I kind of like it too, because that then tells me that they're not just doing what most video game sites do, which is just covering the AAA products that everybody had already heard about and that everybody knows is going to be popular to at least a certain level. TechRaptor has an article here, digging deep into We Are the Dwarves, which looks, I think we already talked about this, looks like a Diablo-esque strategy game. So, yeah, I think this is a repeated article. I haven't yet had my computer reboot again, so I can't really blame repeats on that. And my computer crashing and rebooting and losing the sessions, the Chrome session, is not something that should happen, generally speaking, anyways. Right, I want to play this. That's exactly what I want. And then we do this. Come on. Man, you're taking forever to decide what you're gonna do. Next we have a game on Steam here called Usagiri, which is Usa is bunny in Japanese, Giri is girl, so bunny girl. You can see the animation is not particularly good here. This looks like it is just a adult game without the adults. It's not tagged with nudity or anything. It's $6.99, almost certainly a visual novel. English and Polish is an odd combination. Now they are kind of putting animation of blinking eyes, but there's only about 2 hours of content, so this really does feel like a Polish developer is heavily trying to make a Japanese visual novel, but putting kind of maybe a Polish spin on it. Like, I don't think bunny girls have any connection to Poland or Polish. If they do, it's not big enough. Or what? How did he block that? What happened there? Set by creatures with haste. Oh, I did not realize that that was the case. I've been playing this quite a while. Playing this card for a while, and I did not realize haste could be blocked. Well, let's see. Moving on. Play this to draw another land, so we have something we can do next turn. We'll take the Wicked Wolf, and we'll go ahead and attack or not attack. I think we'll have to not attack here. Game Sutra has an article here. Steam to host demos for the Game Awards digital spin-off event, the Game Festival, which didn't I haven't heard anything about this where the Game Awards had a digital spin-off event. The Game Festival aims to showcase over a dozen demos on Steam for 48 hours following the Game Awards, though it's mentioned that the 13 listed are only some of the games offered up as free limited time demos. So you could play, for a brief demo, a game called Acid Knife, Chiron, Chicory, Eastward, Haven, Heavenly Bodies, Moving Out, Roki, Skatebird, I've heard of Skatebird, Spiritfarer, System Shock, The Drifter, and Wooden Nickel. So System Shock also. 2 games there that I've heard of, so highly unlikely that that most people would even bother to play the demos of the other games, other than those 2. And even in the case of those 2, I think the odds are pretty low that anybody would actually bother to play those demos, because they're just demos. But it is Steam doing something new and different, and that's always interesting. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article, Dangan Entertainment and former CEO accused of preying on indie developers. What did Dangan Entertainment do? CEO leaves amidst allegations of sexual and business misconduct. This is originally published by Polygon. Let's see. They had the publishing rights to Crosscode, Bug Fables, and Disc Creatures. And this is a Japanese company, so honestly, I think these allegations probably hold more weight when they're made against a Japanese company or Japanese CEO, because they have to be particularly atrocious for it to even be an issue. None of these games seem like they're particularly that interesting now. Probably have some games on my wish list to follow list from Dangan Entertainment. There was also a Japanese story of a animation company that just disappeared and deleted their Twitter and left employees unpaid. Which, yeah, businesses disappearing in the middle of the night is not a big surprise. This is almost like it's one of those Polygon stories that is news, but then it's small news, because it's not like anybody really knew what Dangan Entertainment was in the first place. Like, nobody had heard of it, or at least I hadn't heard of it. The Quantic Dream stories and the Riot Games stories are much more relevant, but you can also see that Polygon and Kotaku in particular have now a super invested interest to just always find the next bad guy, the next company, so that they can move the narrative forward. Next we have a game here on Steam called Blood Scrolls, which looks like it has a bunch of characters that are cheap rip-offs of other characters like Mario, and like the trailer here, let's see, like Goku, Zelda, some of these look like they're Green Lantern, Blue Lanterns, some kind of Ninja Turtles are very recognizable, Mario is very recognizable, Yellow Lanterns. $6.99. I mean, I guess maybe those aren't Yellow Lanterns, those might just be Dragon Ball creatures. In fact, they might all just be Dragon Ball creatures, but I question that. Since English only, it says it's single player, but I think it's probably focused mostly as a fighting game against multiplayer. So, yeah, that doesn't look good enough to deserve to be on the follow list. Speaking of not looking good enough to be on the follow list, here we have a Simon game called Hewer, which implies to me it's not even in English. 99 cents English and a bunch of other languages. Yeah. This looks incredibly boring. and simplistic. Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article here, Deep Dive Making a 2D Action Game Tool, Pixel Game Maker MV. This is just promotion for Pixel Game Maker MV, which just encourages more garbage games on Steam more than anything else. I would really think that Steam could easily just block any game that looks like it's made with RPG Maker or Pixel Maker or any simple middleware. Although they probably get sued by the creators of that software. It would help curate their game store quite a bit. Next, we have an article here from Komatsu. Nico Miku Studio Corriate announces escape adventure game Prison Princess for the Switch, and this clearly looks like this is an adult game by the looks of it. Interesting that it's going to be on the Switch, even in Japan. Like, let's see. Apparently, an English version of its previously released game, Nico Miko, was available on PC, although maybe not Steam. So it wouldn't be surprising, I guess, if it did come out on Steam. Seems like we've got a network issue. That's fine. Gearbox Studio in Quebec was started 4 years ago to this day, so that is, I think, a very good indicator of just how long a studio has to secretly be in development before they release anything. As far as I know, they have released absolutely nothing that they've developed. Very possibly they worked on some part of Borderlands, but they have no individual IP that they were the head of, certainly. So that's just, I guess, a good indication. It's just how long it takes to make games. It's important to remind ourselves of that. On Steam here we have Vampire the Masquerade Quarteries of New York. This is a visual novel game that is not the Vampire Bloodlines game that's been announced. And I believe there's probably been a couple of Vampire the Masquerade games. This is already on my follow list. It's $13.99. It's rated M for mature. I would be fine with playing this. This would be a great way to backdoor into doing visual novels without doing Japanese visual novels with anime girls in it in particular. But I'm not sure if I'm willing or able to get into the Vampire the Masquerade series or spin-offs. I don't know how connected any of them are. Or if I need to play any of the other games. Here we have a game on Steam called Armageddon, totally misspelled as armor. It looks like a low effort hex-based strategy game. Yep. Doesn't look particularly interesting. $14.99, bunch of languages. That's doesn't need to go any further. Gamma Sutra has an interesting article here. Double Fine veteran Greg Rice is Sony's new global head of indie accounts, which is bad news in part for Double Fine, which has been acquired by Microsoft, but also kind of bad news again, I think, for Sony Entertainment Interactive of Japan, or Sony of Japan's control over Sony PlayStation's division, Sony Entertainment Interactive, because here you have another very Western guy taking over another position. Sony is setting itself up to look completely different than what it was even a few years ago and what it has traditionally been. For better or worse, we will just have to see what happens. TechRaptor has an article here. Resident Evil 3 Remake Rising, April 2020. So, yep. More screenshots of Resident Evil 3. They're definitely trying to get you hyped as far as this game. But April 2020 also, what that really means is it was probably very easy to just write the scenarios and port the game over um, after making the remake of RE2. It seems like it's mostly a skin swap and just copying and pasting and remaking what events happened. I guess they don't have to do any writing. They have to remaster the audio and re-record the audio, and redo the visuals, but not even that much of the visuals. So yeah, it seems like it's too early, frankly, and I almost certainly suspect there will be a delay. Gamma Sutra has an article. Voodoo acquires the mobile developer Gumbug. Voodoo is not the Voodoo I think I'm thinking about, because there was a Voodoo like graphics card developer 10-15 years ago. I don't think that's it, because it says Voodoo is a mobile game developer. So one game developer mobile game developer acquired another. Game of Sutra has an article here. Apply now to participate in the Game Developer Conference 2020 Low Income Pass Lottery, which if you're not a game developer, I wouldn't recommend you going to the Game Development Conference unless you are in school to be a game developer. Then maybe it makes sense. TechRaptor has an article here. Moon Hunters is a fantastic action RPG. Looks like it's an interesting art style on that icon. And I kind of like this. It's like a comic book art style. It's almost like a Mad Magazine art style. Interesting. Well, I'll see if I can find this on Steam and put it on the follow list. Well, maybe it's a multiplayer only game. That might be a bit of a problem. But yeah, this certainly has caught my eye. And very few games do that. Game of Sutra has an article. Nintendo Indie World Showcase talks exclusive sequels in 2020 lineup. Let's see. Golf Story, Murder by Numbers, Liberated, Dreamscaper, Dauntless. Just skimming here. Axiom Verge 2, I think. Apparently they announced 16 games. Since I don't cover Nintendo games, though, I'll just leave this article for people to look up if they're interested. Don't care about Metalloid Origin. Libretro had a tweet 3 hours ago. We're not done with all the major announcements yet. By the way, we're giving the current announcements some more room to breathe until we come back to you guys with even more new cool stuff tomorrow. More blog posts on the Libretro Retro Arc sites inbound. Before that, they had the Game Boy Advanced emulators running on RetroArch PSP. What other announcements did they have that was that interesting? Sometimes their announcements aren't that interesting at all. Apparently they've gotten RetroArch running on the Xbox One, and they've gotten the Nintendo 64 emulator in particular running on Xbox One, and then the Dreamcast emulator is getting a Vulkan render to use better graphics. And then 12 hours ago they said get ready for a flurry of announcement and blog posts in anticipation of RetroArch 1.8.2. Okay. Of course, if you're using a Raspberry Pi, you're probably not anywhere close to RetroArch 1.8.2. Game of Sutra has an article here. There is a report that the former Platinum CEO Tatsuya Minami has opened a new studio called M2 Incorporated. I feel like I'd heard about this, but okay. A new studio that maybe will mean more games in development. But it kind of means nothing at the moment. Yeah. Well, we'll need a lot more data to say anything there. Gamma Sutra has a blog here. Video game music composer getting your big break 2020 edition. Frankly, music composing in general is very few and far between jobs there of any kind, and so you have to know a lot of people, I would imagine, and be very, very good. I would not be a music composer unless you were already very, very good at music. You had best of the best. Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article here, and we're almost done. Sony PlayStation is looking for a VFX artist in San Diego, California. Let's see, we don't need that. There's a report, according to Gamma Sutra, that iDream Sky is in talks to acquire Liu Technologies for $1.4 billion. They think mobile game developer acquiring another mobile game developer. Which, the fact that there's so many of these stores does imply that mobile games are making money. He has a game on Steam called Familia, which looks like it is just a bunch of random things. Like, look how different each of these screenshots looks. Is it an RPG? Is it an adventure game? I guess it's an RPG. $4.24, English only. I just cannot think for a second that I would want to play an RPG. And see, it's so unfair too, because it's not like this. It looks like even a RPG Maker developer. Interesting. Maybe this game is already missing, because I'm clicking on his name and it's not even bringing anything up. So I'll put it on the fall list, because in all fairness, this is an RPG that actually looks like it isn't just a low effort RPG Maker game. It still looks like an RPG NES game, and that still probably is not good enough, but it's better than what we've seen before. Here we have a game, GTFO, which apparently was in part developed from the creators of Payday, and actually looks good, and it's rated very positively, but it's early access, so all I can do is really put it on the fall list. $31.49, English only. This looks like this might be a horror first-person shooter game of actual good quality, so that's interesting. We're not having too many issues of the things, the network messing up, but we're still running into issues. Let's see. And that brings me to the Humble Bundle, and I'm just going to quickly look and see if there's a new bundle. There is a Paradox Interactive Management Game bundle, so Prison Architect, Cities in Motion 2, Cities Skylines, which I already own, a bunch of DLC for Cities Skylines. I didn't like Cities Skylines, by the way. Surviving Mars, if you paid $18, and more DLC there. So that's hardly a bundle that interests me. Filmmaker bundle might have some filmmaking software of interest if you were going to go into filmmaking. Music and Sound FX bundle might be useful if you were going to try to be an animator or a music maker, but unlikely. Let's look at this filmmaker bundle and then wrap up. Yeah, I don't think any of those softwares are most of these are just middleware stuff. It looks like things that might be helpful, but not. It isn't the After Effects or Blender software or Adobe Premiere. And I don't think we really need to scroll down my Twitter feed. Let's just end this stream here. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.